You are now about to witness. This has not happened by accident. The awesome, crushing might, I blame YouTube, of dizzy. So dizzy, my head is spinning. Back when the show was on full audio, I would fall on the floor, pass out, but you could only hear it. I remember passing out, rolling around the floor, screaming, "It's an earthquake!" Yeah, that would have made great video. Lucky for me, it was not video then. It was when the show was audio. But first, we get into the Kierkegaardian conundrum that was UFC Fight Night 93. I am your host, the paranoid Negro at your party, Eugene S. Robinson. And this is Knuckle Up, round number 299. And before I say a single word, we have got the words of Bob Riley, singer of Stigmata, that just sums it all up. Every day, day in, day out, never fails, these words go through my mind. I'm on my way back to nowhere. And I could not see so clear, but I'm taking a real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face. Of being paid back in full, always nothing. Anyway, my friends, look, you can't see it from your side, but YouTube keeps sending this notice. September 12th, we're going to do something bigger. This is the kind of thing I never pay attention to. You got to understand, I made it all the way through high school this way, not paying attention. The teacher would start droning on about, you got to fill out and I would just stop listening. And after a while, I would say to my friend Pishko, I would say, hey, what did she say? And he would say, just fill in the stuff. And I would, boom, easy, done. You don't have to spend 20 minutes telling me this shit. You do not have to. So Mrs. Mutnick, the teacher, would say like, okay, you could fill in spaces 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But whatever you do, don't write in the gray spaces. The gray spaces are for me. Do not write in the gray spaces. You can write anything you want, anywhere else you want, but write your name in 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing, not absolutely. The gray spaces stay blank. Yes, Eugene. Mrs. Mutnick. Yes, Eugene. Mrs. Mutnick. Yes, Eugene. What do you write in the gray spaces? Shut up, Eugene! Shut up, Eugene! Shut up! You could have done a shillelagh at me if this wasn't my show. So I made it through life ignoring stuff like this. So whatever YouTube is telling me about what's going to happen on September 12th, I'm not paying attention. Because next week when I do the show live, it'll be September 11th. And even if I have to start the show 8 times in a row, like today, like 2 weeks ago, like last week, I can still ignore it. And Kid Nate, he will play the role of Mark Pishko, and he will tell me on September 12th, look, next week when you try to do the show, do this, and I guarantee you it'll work perfectly then because they're trying to get us to notice. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for UFC Fight Night, Arlovski versus Barnett. Now, Barnett is a virtual friend of Knuckle Up. He's never actually been on the show, but he and I have chatted back and forth. We're going to race our cars. My 65 Chevy Chevelle 2-door sedan with a 502 engine in it, and his whatever kind of ridiculous attempt at an automobile he has. He has challenged me online. I have accepted the challenge. Race for pink slips. So in any case, He's also going out with Colleen Schneider. If you remember, she is a friend of Knuckle Up. She was on one of the past Knuckle Ups. Female fighter was on the female Ultimate Fighter thing in Vegas. So they're virtual family. And if you remember, well, I'm not even going to go down that road. It's too early in the show for this. We're not going to do it. We'll just go straight to what I was going to talk about. We won't mention the fact that there was some nasty rumor going around that I had sex with Colleen in a refrigerator box in the underpass. We're not even going to talk about that. We're not going to dignify that with a response. I did not have sex with that woman in a refrigerator box under the underpass. That was a damnable lie told by members of Jake Shields' fight team to as a way to whore shame me. Yeah, whore, like a whore, like the thing that, you know, the cowboys ride on. I'm sorry. You know, I'm drunk with power because sports agent extraordinaire Salvatore Russo and I did a comedy show on past Friday, and it seems like it was successful. The best part about the comedy show, however, was after I said, I offend everybody. I'm fat shame, I Negro shame, I started telling this long, drawn-out story, the punchline of which was, I like kikes. And people, they just weren't. I said, hey, I'm all about self-sabotage. And if that's what it takes to get you to walk out, then I'm willing to do it. And that's how I was going to get bumper stickers. I was talking about trying to sell the crazy Russian-Israeli multimillionaire who used to fund my blog efforts, tried to sell him on that. He's like, you know, that's actually not funny. I go, oh, you got no sense of humor. It's just like Eisenhower. I like Ike, but instead of Ike, you put kike in there. You get it? And the audience got it as much as he got it. So in my mind, it was a success. So I'm drunk with it. So I tried to, I tried to make a joke. But in any case, there were not a lot of cares on this card. If you were to go through the care, don't care preview, you would see that we didn't have super large amounts of enthusiasm. And Kid Nate even said that I would care about 5 fights on the card. In actual fact, I only ended up caring about 4. My pick rate was really high. I think it was probably 100%. So I could feel good about that. But I don't. which comes from the young ones where it says, I think Vivian, he goes, I think some people standing in the hallway might be perfectly fashionable, but I don't. So that was where that comes from. But let's start out like we usually do. Let's start out at the top of the card. And at the top of the card, I mean virtual friend of Knuckle Up, Josh Barnett and Andre Arlovski. And I finally figured out the mathematics of heavyweight fighting. And why heavyweight fighting is like the acquired, it's like oysters Rockefeller. It's like the acquired, it's a super acquired taste. It's not for everybody. And if you're trying, if you're trying to sell somebody on the sexiness of MMA, you never ever start out with the heavyweights. You know yourselves, if you're watching the show live and there are 14 of you doing that, you know yourselves, if you're trying to sell the sexiness of heavyweights, it's not like boxing. You don't bring the newbies into the heavyweights. You let them, tell them show up late. Tell them, if it's a headliner fight, you tell them show up early. You don't want them to see heavyweights. Why? Because they don't look graceful. They don't look gainly. And what they do is underscore what Tom Gunn, My Sad Captain and Other Stories, great poet, San Francisco writer, and he was a fighter himself, as well as being a pretty significant writer and a poet. And he said, people don't understand fighting. He spells it G-U-N-N, if you're interested. People don't understand fighting, and they go, it's on the brink. It's about being on the brink of collapse and catastrophe for the entire duration of the struggle. And that's what you see when you see heavyweight. So when you got a Barnett and Arlovski, I picked Barnett, but his past run has been uneven enough, and Arlovski has scared me enough in his past fights because he's been fighting scared that you just don't. This is not the thing that you want to break people in on. You just don't do it. Don't do it on the. You're not going to do it. Forget it. Forget it. Out. So, it is okay. It is like when Sanford and Son used to come on. Instinctively, as a 9-year-old, I understood that Sanford and Son was very specifically an inside defense TV viewing experience. For example, I don't want to be sick like Dave Chappelle ran at this with the Chappelle show. You know, there are jokes that you make when there's certain people around, and there are jokes that you don't make when there's certain other people around. The problem with me is I don't have any good, that's what my kids call me, artistic. I don't have any good social blinders in regards to what's happening in here and what comes out here. Winger, 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 winger. So it is all out there. Heavyweights are like that. So Arlovski has been fighting scared as long as he's been back in the big show. The How Taste My Pee-Pee blast was an all-time great blast, but not really enough in my mind to turn the guy into not a must-see, but a must-win. I did not pick him, and I did not pick him for a reason. I did not pick him because, something about being big and old, big things die sooner. You want a dog that you don't want to have to make a huge emotional commitment to, get yourself a Great Dane. In, out, 6 years. You can get out to your next dog, and you're not even, boom. So large animals are not meant. The ideal human of the future is probably about 5'10", and they're certainly not 265 fucking pounds. So you knew that this wasn't going to be a marquee show, but one of the things either you're going to have a Josh Barnett who fights with a certain inexact savagery against an Arlovski who's fighting fearfully, but with a super. Here we go. Cheers. Yeah, you got it. Drunken fucking knuckle up. You got it. And another fucking thing. That fucking guy. Every time I'm in there, I see that guy. That guy's a fucking alcoholic. I was in there Monday. He was there. I was in there Tuesday. He was there. I was in there Thursday. He was there. He was there 4 times on Friday. That guy's an alcoholic. Like my friend told me about this great bar he went into in Istanbul. I go, you're a teetotaler. You don't drink. What are you doing in a bar in Istanbul? He's like, I got it. I got it. You don't have to do this for me. You went into the bar for penis. I got it. So anyway, I didn't want to watch Sanford and Son in what I would call mixed company. Chappelle ran up against that. He was a people's comedian, but he wasn't doing people's comedy. I don't know who he thought he was doing comedy with. So what you do, the heavyweights are something you do in secret and private for precisely these reasons. But it's what we bring to the sport. What brings us to the sport in the first place. It's actual real human drama. It's sloppy, it's out of control, it's inexact. And any of you, I picked Barnett, but any of you who, with any degree of certainty, you know in your heart of hearts, this fight could have gone anyway. It could have gone anyway. Barnett, got tagged a couple of times, and that's why largely you feel like it's inconclusive. So it is a really super significant analog for life because, it is probably the only division in which you can say, I got a raw deal and be exactly on the money. It wasn't like Barnett, loved the guy. It wasn't like he dominated the entire fucking. He didn't do a Kane to JDS. That didn't happen. It was like it could be this way, it could be that way. You don't know. You got no idea what's happening, who it's going to happen to, which way it goes. You're uncertain. You are uncertain, and you remain uncertain. I guarantee you, if those guys fought 2 more times, it could seesaw back any other way. You don't know, and I don't know, except there's a catch, and the catch is nobody wants to see that shit. Nobody wants to see that. I tell you what, the first time amateur porn became a big thing, this guy at Hustler was telling me, amateur porn is a big thing. You got to get on. Why don't you write a piece for me about amateur porn? And then a friend of mine in the straight world said, hey, why don't you do a piece for GQ on us for amateur porn? Because amateur porn is a big thing now. People are doing it in their garages, homegrown. I was like, cool. Send me some amateur porn. Send me some amateur porn, and I'll write a piece of amateur porn. So clearly, this is in the days when people weren't filming video on their phones. Clearly, they had somebody had a camera set up in a garage and outside in Scranton, I imagine, Scranton, and they started filming porn. A couple of mechanics and the hottest chick they could find. You know what? A couple of mechanics in Scranton, you know, the hottest chick they could find. You know what that means to the rest of us? It means that amateur porn is nothing that you really want to see. And more importantly, here. Compare things to Hitler, $5. Nazis, baby. It was funny and hilarious, and I liked it. But more significantly, it seems to me that the Hitlerian aside, it seems to me. Sorry. That's very good. It's Chambord, and for those of you who care. It seems to me that the acquired taste of this heavyweight matchup is that we loved it because it was the dangerous elements of fighting distilled, career-ending stuff, age, intimations of mortality. But the reality of it is not a single one of us wants to see them fight again. And in actual fact, this is a really weird calculus. After McGregor and Diaz won, everybody wants to see them fight again. Now they're 1-1, and they're talking about a trilogy, and Dana's shitting on the trilogy. But it's easy to shit on a trilogy because nobody wants to see it. Nobody has a stomach for it. You know why? Because we're all certain types of nut jumpers. McGregor fans don't want him destroyed. And don't feel nearly confident enough that what I said 2 shows ago wasn't the case. You know, like I said, I fought Sorrell maybe 24 times. But Sorrell has only beat me like 17 of those times. Does that mean that I won the other 8 times? No, it doesn't. So, you know, we have no enthusiasm. If you're a McGregor nut jumper, you have no real enthusiasm because you know what I said a few weeks ago is possibly true. And at 1-1, everybody can walk away happy. Everyone can walk away happy. You got the narrative line for the Diaz, for the 209 nut jumpers, for the Diaz nut jumpers that says, "Hey man, fuck you. He took it to him, choked him out. You know, oh, he hurt his leg. He was there. He's pushing for the trilogy." Blah, blah. That trilogy, I'd be very surprised if that trilogy doesn't happen. Everybody wanted the second fight, but how many people really want the third fight? The third fight will, you know, I'm sure the tagline when they book it, because it will get booked, will be, "Now they settle it once and for all." And that'll be the last drop of juice they'll squeeze out of the fucking tomato. Done. But the difference is Nate, who's been doing this for 19, is happy to be done. McGregor, who has only been famous, God knows, 5 years ago, nobody was talking about McGregor. Nobody. So, you know, the dude's only been on the tit for 2 years. He does not want to leave that way. So there's no enthusiasm. The only person who's enthusiastic about the trilogy is Nate. Because I guarantee you it'll be Nate's last fight in the UFC. You think he's got other fights in the UFC? You think they're about to pay him $4 or $5 million to fight Poirier? Or Carlos, what the hell am I doing here, Condit? No, nah. My name is Travis. He's done. Unless he fights McGregor. At this point now, he's got enough money to live like a prince in 209. With a security system so he doesn't get fucking jacked at his front door, and you will get jacked in 209. Some guy who I bought Popeye from in 209 was telling me they had a fight club going in the parking lot at the Home Depot. And I was like, oh man, wait. He goes, behind the sand piles. I go, how the fuck do you know? He goes, I work at Home Depot. I go, are you watching? He goes, watching nothing. I'm fighting. He set up a fight club at his job at Home Depot in the fucking parking lot. That's 209, baby. I don't know what kind of job you have, but it's not like at Ozzy, I'm going to be able to go behind the dirt pile and slug it out with my coworkers or whoever happens to wander by and go back in bloody. What happened? I tripped. Fuck. You know, it doesn't cost a lot. It costs us 120 degrees out there in the summertime, but that's 209. So the reality of it is, Arlovski and Barnett, great fight. How great? Well, you never want to see it again. You name other experiences in life that are great, so great that you only want to do them once. Maybe heroin. I would say heroin qualifies. Even though with my experience with heroin, you definitely want to do it again. Not my personal experience necessarily, I'm just what people tell me. And you don't get addicted after the first 12, well, okay, the first 5 times. The first 5 years, you're just chipping. So you don't want to see the fight again. But it was a good fight. So what do you do? What happens to Arlovski? Where is Arlovski now? Ground control to Major Tom. You know, somebody will mention Arlovski to you a year from now, and you go like, oh, yeah, that guy. Now, he's not Lost Battalion because I think Arlovski has been fighting like he very precisely knew he would be that guy. Hello? Houston. Yes? Houston, how tastes my pee-pee? Okay, fuck you. You know, he's floating around out of space. That's it. That's it. Who's he fighting? Oh, heavyweight has a lot of. He's not. What are they going to put him against? Kane? No. JD? No. Miocic? No. Nobody wants to see an old man get beaten. Believe me, I know. And Josh Barnett, after the elbow in the head from Mr. Housey, where's he going to go? So it was a perfectly entertaining fight. It was on Fight Pass. That should tell you all you need to know. Glad to see Barnett sock away a win, but dude, these guys are closing in on 40. So okay, so the next fight down, and I don't know that I've come to any firm conclusions about Josh Barnett versus Arlovski, other than the fact that it was a good fight that you never want to see again, like heroin, maybe. I mean, I can't think of any experiences that you have once that are great that you don't want to have again. Well, I know some men have said, some guy actually tried to tell me he accidentally had anal sex. And I said, well, wait a minute. You mean you accidentally put your penis in someone's anus when in actual fact you meant to put it in the vagina? He goes, no, the other way. I go, what does that mean? He goes, well, I got drunk. I go, oh boy, here we go. How did I trundle into this fire island of a story, this Mykonos of a story? How did I, this Key West of a story, how did I end up here? First, I got really high. Okay, I got you. And then I got really drunk. Okay, wonderful. And then I decided, well, I wanted to get a massage, you know, sexy massage. I go, great. He goes, so I go into this massage parlor in Mumbai. First of all, Jesus Christ. You had to see this coming. So he goes into a massage parlor in Mumbai. He lays down on the table. And from behind the curtain comes a dude. That's the point at which he said, well, shit, I'm here. You know, I might as well go for a massage. You know, I got lots of aches and pains. And then he pulls that thing that I love in the story where he says, next thing I know, the guy had his penis in my anus. That's what I'm talking. I go, so this was an accident. He goes, it was a complete accident. I woke up and I was like, hey, get off me. And the guy like got off of me. And, you know, he did the right thing. And I go, what would that be? He said, well, he promised not to charge me for that. And then the guy hits it off with the topper, and he looks at me, and he's telling me, I'm talking to him face to face. He's telling me, well, you know, I'm straight. Okay, later he tells me the story, and then he goes, well, you know, I'm straight, but, you know, sometimes I like to spice up my heterosex with homosexual sex, but that was an accident. Okay, all right. I got you, man. I got you. So that's what I'm saying. Arlovski versus Barnett, like heroin and gay, unintended, accidental anal sex. That's my point. Why can't you see that? Going down the card. Sorry. I mean, look, it's UFC Fight Night 93. Where were you at noon? I turned on the computer at fighting, and then I was rolling. And then I could watch it later after, right after you finish rolling. But this is not what this whole show is not about heroin and unintended accidental gay sex, anal sex. It's about Alexander Gustafsson and Jan Blachowicz. Actually, we're gonna get some help on this pronunciation right here. Hey, how do you pronounce that? Blachowicz. And they put some sort of accent on it when they do it, but they're not here when they wrote it. So everybody, I'm gonna just read to you what one of you texted to me, tweeted to me, and it really says it all. And I'm just gonna read it without comment. I'm just gonna read it without comment. And so here we go. He says about Gustafsson, there wasn't a fan in that building that didn't want him to win. Me too. I picked him. That didn't want him to win, and they were either booing or checking their phones by the end of the third round. He's really lost a step, or several. Even though he was 1-3 in his last 4, you knew that Gustafsson comes to fight, man. Well, not anymore. I guess the good news is that he seems aware of it. Didn't sound happy in his interview, period, end quote. Not only did he not seem happy in his interview, but he didn't seem happy. He fought like a dead man. And once again, the immortal words of Leopoldo, I don't fuck care, Sorrel, ring out. Broken, not fixed. The things that you break when you lose sometimes are never fixed. And when you got a card that's headlined by Arlovski and Barnett, you don't think you're seeing the ghost of Christmas past? You don't think so? Because I think so. There, but for the grace of God, go I. And then I. No, man. He fought like everybody was saying that Dan Hardy, friend of Knuckle Up, Dan Hardy, was like, man, he's fighting smart. Uh-huh. And that's why he was being booed. I mean, the strategy was pretty clear. With Blachowicz was taking it to him on the feet, tattooing him on the face like a typewriter. I actually used the word typewriter the other day. And everybody who was in the room who heard me use it, who was under 40, was like, what? Okay. Why did you get your ink pot out in your twill pen, Mr. Washington? So he came into this knowing where he is. He's got to get his name back on the table. He's got a pretty high number in the Phantom fucking toll booth. He's never been lost battalion. I don't care what I said before. I must have been drinking. I think he's known exactly where he is. And sometimes that's laying on your back in the church and it hurts. Because the narrative that's lurking around the periphery of his understanding is, maybe that was my shot. Maybe that's as close as I'm getting. And instead, when he's matched up with a Johnny Boney Joni again, he's not going to fight like a demon, like a man renewed, like a guy who had the chance for the ring and knows that God is smiling on him, and there is that ring a second time around. He's fighting like a man who's not fixed. And Blachowicz is tough. But, being taken down and held down, Well, we know what Nick Diaz would say. Hey, homie, gonna lay in your problems for 20 minutes? You think that's gonna help? It's not gonna help. Because who came out of that fight a winner? Blachowicz. Because if you don't tell me you want if Miocic makes it out of his next engagement, you can't tell me that you wouldn't want to see these two go at it because you know it would be a slugfest. You know it would be a slugfest. It would be a light heavy. Well, I guess you can't, right? It's different weight divisions. Anyway, people can lose weight. But I can't tell you with a straight face deliver unto you this idea of Gustafsson and Johnny Boney Joni Part 2 and really honestly have you believe it's worth a good goddamn, right? Just like there's no clamor for Arlovski and Barnett 2, or Barnett and anybody 2, and Arlovski and anybody 2. What we are, if you smell that smell, you know what that smell is? Those are fumes. Those are fumes. And with Joe Silva gone, you know, I heard lots of rumors inside the fence and outside the fence about why Joe Silva is gone. But I think Joe Silva, for whether it was voluntary or involuntary, Joe Silva also smelled what was cooking. Just like Bjorn Rebney is sitting at home thinking, you know, that tournament thing, that was great. I don't know why nobody gives a fuck. Mike Tyson could come out of retirement tomorrow and fight MMA, and every ass would be in the seat. He could fight another boxer in MMA, James Toney, and every ass would be in the seat. You know, the bald one has worked very hard to distance MMA from its spectacle roots, but at base root, at the heart of it, is still spectacle. How can you not build somebody, which fundamentally this is billing someone as the toughest man in the world, and not have that be a spectacle, not have that be a P.T. Barnum deal? So Gustafsson, rather than say, man, you know, the bus comes around twice. Yeah, it does come around twice, but not the same bus. And he's being booed, and the place was chock full of Swedish fans. You know the old expression? It applies here as much as anywhere else in life. Scared money don't make money. You know, or like Method Man said, you know, you're so goddamn afraid, stay home. I know you guys in Sweden don't want to hear that, but you know it hurts to have me say it. It hurts to have me say it. But the reality of it is, I'm just saying what you're thinking. It's not the same guy. It's not the same guy. If you had your mother watch the first fight and had your mother watch the second fight, she wouldn't even remember that she had seen that same guy fight. Because you got to understand, like with sexual dysfunction, this is the fight game. The guy's mind is all over the place. He's thinking like we're thinking. Where do I go from here? I'm going to fight Rumble again? Jesus Christ, that didn't work out that well. Who am I going to fight? Johnny Boney Joni, man, like, am I ready for that roller coaster ride? Maybe he comes, maybe he's not. I don't know. What do I do? I mean, this is real existential stuff. I mean, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? You're going to open up a gym in Stockholm and teach people? What's he going to do? Gustafsson, I guess, was a bad guy. He's going to train for what? You know, I've met a lot of obsessive personalities in this sport. And typically guys have been like, man, I was playing guitar 8 hours a day. I get home from work and play till 2 in the morning every day. And then one day I just stopped. I know no fewer than 3 guys who do that. 2 of them are in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And one of them has made the claim, one has opened up a school and one has made the claim, I get to black belt, I'm still coming. That's where the beginning learns. Where the learning begins, sorry. This will help. It'll help. This is where the learning begins. I know some guys get there and they go, I've had enough. I am tougher than 97, 80, 98% of the men walking around this planet. I got to keep doing this shit for. And largely, I feel the same way. I'm setting the clock on my involvement in jiu-jitsu at 10 more years. If I get the black belt in 10 years, that's good. If I don't, oh well, it's time to move to Bora Bora. You know, or like Satan said in the Bible, God said to him, what have you guys been doing? I love it. It's the beginning of the book of Job. You should read it. He calls all of his sons. I don't know why he didn't have any daughters, but it's the Bible. He calls all of his sons. Lilith was supposed to have been a daughter, but she wasn't there. And he says, what have you been doing? She had better things to do. What have you been doing? And he gets to Lucifer, and Lucifer is Satan, whatever. He goes, you know, I don't know. I've been walking up and down, to and fro. Walking up and down, to and fro. He goes, well, you'll be able to appreciate this. Look at Job. Never have you seen a man more devout. It's easy for you to say you give the guy everything. Of course he loves you, you know. I'd love you too if you gave me everything, but you didn't, did you? He goes, well, you know, I guarantee you he'll stay. So they make a friendly wager. And he goes, you can do anything you want to Job, but just don't kill him. And Satan was like, yeah. And he goes down to earth and he kills all of Job's family, kills his fucking crops, his children, his wife, all of his offspring. Everyone's all dead. Everybody's fucking dead but Job. Besets him with boils and diseases, and yet he lives. And people in the village are like, you must have fucked up. You must have run afoul of God. And he's sitting at the edge of town. His house is burned down. His crops is burned down. His animals are dead. And he's sitting there with a burlap sack on, putting ashes over his head at the end of the town. He goes, God, I don't know what I did, but whatever. I guess you're still a good guy, you motherfucker. But he's sitting there, but see, the mistake of the book of Job story, is that you assume that Lucifer, that Satan is an honest agent, and he's really wagering because at the end, he says, look, he is still devout, and then God returns everything to him in double or quadruple, gives him fourfold, increases his lot fourfold, right? But what you don't see after that, you expect, if you're religious, you kind of expect that Satan's sitting around going, damn it, you got me this time, God. But you see, I tipped my hand by indicating that Satan is not really unhappy about the turn of events. Yeah, he's not really unhappy. He got to fuck Job over good. It doesn't matter. Hey, do you think Job, when he got that shit back, you think he was okay? No. Job was a flinchy, stuttering, muttering, fucking trembling wreck after that. The first breeze that blew through, he goes, oh God, it's happening again. The guy had a sneeze. He was like, oh shit. And he got to see all of his friends turn their back on him. It's the most terrifying book of the Bible, only up there with Ecclesiastes as one of my favorite books of the Bible, because in Ecclesiastes, the guy said, and lo, I hated life. It's like real talk comes to the fucking ancient Jews, who wrote the Bible. So, where was I? Gustafsson. So Gustafsson, look at Sorrell harassing me. He said, look, I'm just going to show you what he says. Look what he says. Post my black men. The Sorrell Academy is like a fucking pirate ship, and the head Captain Hook on the Sorrell Academy is this retard. So, I'm not supposed to say that. Sorry. I made a mistake. He's developmentally disabled. So Gustafsson, I don't know where. Ask Diana Ross. Tell me where the road turns. This was, on the face of it, great fights, but this was really dire, scary, existential shit. You know who I'm happy for? Blachowicz. Because he's like, he didn't see me. It's like he's like Job's next door neighbor. He's like, hey, it's an ill wind. That's gonna blow somebody some good. Because when the bad shit was happening to Job, Gustafsson in this case, he was as good as gold. And when it was returned, he was also as good as gold. Better to be Job's neighbor than to be Job. Or as I like to call him, Job, as in blow job. as in hand job, as in screwed over by God. So going down the list, where were we? Going down the list, Gustafsson, I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you do realize that generationally, I was watching some documentary the other day, and they have Murilo Bustamante and Alan Goss. Fuck, I remember those guys. Ground control, not even ground control, man. Those guys know exactly where they are. And they're just doing whatever they're doing. They're like Hollywood actresses. After the age of 40, they are fucking dead. Unless your name is Judi Dench. And then they killed her off for the James Bond series, and she hasn't been doing shit. And who was the chick from The Thief, the wife, Helen Mirren? And she's now a gilf, a grandma I like to fuck, right? So that's why people keep watching her. You disappear. You disappear. Somebody was even criticizing Meryl Streep. Said, why is she doing all these kind of wacky women roles? How come she's not returning to real acting? Because there's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing out there. John Polito just died. Let's look at John Polito's career. He was a professional Italian American who was gay. I did not know this. Ryan Bader and Eler Latifi. Kid Nate picked Latifi. And I wanted to pick Latifi because he looks good on the horse. He's like, everybody's on the street. I saw a dead head sticker on a Cadillac. And Latifi is riding shirtless on a horse on the beach. But Ryan Bader, there's no way. There's no way that you're gonna let a guy who's number 12 come. And this was a perfect storm. The guy at number 12 is begging for a guy at number 4. And the guy at number 4 is begging for a guy at number 12. Because why? Because he wants to say, hey, fucking A, what are you marching this guy here number 12? I shouldn't be looking back. Don't ever make that mistake again. Never make that fucking mistake again. Running that guy in here at number 12 against me at number 4. I got to be looking up. Just keep talking. It's like the guy who's getting into a street fight and is being successfully held back by his 115-pound girlfriend. Just keep talking. The tragedy wasn't Bader's. Bader stays relevant for another day. Existential issue crisis averted. Latifi is smelling like a gatekeeper. Latifi, he's got to lose the smell of gatekeeper. Well, he's not the Lost Battalion. He's not Major Tom. He's not Dark Starred. He's just back to the toll booth. What number? Mid number. Give him a 40. Not as good as a 10, but not as bad as 120. Is he still 12? If you lose to a number 4 guy, you don't advance. You slip back. I don't know. I think you slip. If it had been the other way, then dude, Bader, friend of Knuckle Up Bader slips back. Bader's all right by me. He talked about the masturbating in the salad, the poop in the toilet, and the pissing in the refrigerator. What more could you want? Hey, it's cold back here. I just kicked that guy out. I got a rental unit. Yeah, I'm a capitalist. And I rent it. And I just kicked the guy out for being a pain in the ass. This guy paid his rent on time. He was fucking clean. But he was a pain in the ass. Hey, I can't get this window closed. I rush home from work. I go, which window? He goes, this one right here. And I go, this one? Beep. And it closes. Calls me last week when I'm doing the show. The sink is flooded. I go back and look at the sink. Turn the water on. I'm looking under the sink. I go, there's no water leaking, Ray. There's no water leaking. Hey, I'm not a plumber. You don't have to be a plumber. You got fucking eyes in your head. I don't appreciate that kind of talk. So you know what? You gotta go. And my mother was worried. He's not gonna go. He's gonna. Oh, really? How many people do you think would choose to fight me over something like this? How do you think that's gonna? And people like, oh, Eugene would beat him up. Beat him up? You think it's like some guy tried to crank call me? They're like, you can't give your number out. You can't give your number out, but people will crank. How you gonna crank call King Crank? In other words, how many nights do you think he would have to see me looking through his window, jerking off, before he would say, you know what? I got to move out. Hey, Ray, roll over on your side, Ray. Yeah. How many nights do you think a dude would have to do that before he's like, fuck, I got to get the fuck out of here? You can't crank call King Crank. I'm being told to stop. I've exceeded the audience's ability to take it. You know, there's a magazine in Europe. I'm not going to be specific about the country, right? There's a magazine in Europe, and they connected to Vice magazine, and they decided they want to be a neo-retro nudie magazine. And they did about 4 or 5 issues in, and the women on the staff who were also from Vice were like, whoa. How come we don't do a dude nudie magazine, right? And they're like, cool. I'm finding this out because they're calling me. Some dude is calling me, asking me. I was like, who else is in the issue? And they named some big names. And I was like, fuck. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Where? So we're going to rent a hotel room in this other country, and then we'll show up. And I say to the guy who's talking to me, who's emailing me, I was like, hey, man, you going to be there? He goes, well, I'm going to set it up, and then I'm leaving. I go, okay, who's going to be there? And so they said, well, the photographer and then the art director. I was like, all right. So show up in the hotel room, and the photographer is there, and she's like nervous and trembling and way too excited. And then the art director's there, and she's there, and you know, it's like that great scene from whatever that movie is where the guy whose face keeps changing, was like an old Batman, and he's got on like kind of a ghost face killer mask, but it keeps changing, and they take Rorschach, yeah, and they put him in the cell, and they go, you're in here with us, Rorschach. And he goes, you're in here with me. So they got me in the room, and I'm like naked, and I say to him, out of all these other celebrities you got in this naked magazine, I don't want to see the other photos, but is everybody doing it with an erection or not? And they're like, actually, no. And I said, there's nothing more depressing than a naked man without an erection. You know, I don't care what he looks like. You know, that's why Playgirl magazine never played that well. You know, it's still around, but, you know, do you really want to see the wrinkled sax and the rusty trombone? Do you really want to see that? I don't even gay guys like, you know, no, a man who's naked and not excited is as worthwhile as a fucking, it's as much good to you as a fucking balloonist. I really need a balloonist right now. No, you don't. Yeah, if that guy doesn't have an erection, he is pointless. If I go walking downtown now naked, I can't even get arrested because he's not visibly aroused. So fuck it, leave him. So I say, how many? And they say, well, nobody really. And then I go, boom, I got to be the one guy. I got to be the one guy with the erection, right? So I say, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to be the one guy with the erection. And then they say the stupidest thing in the world. It was great. They're like, how are you going to do that? And I was like, how am I going to do that? How are you going to do that? And they're like, no. We don't. I said, look, I don't need you to do anything. I just need you to stand there. And so I'm talking to the art director, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, turn around. And she's like, no. And I'm like, all right, just stand there. You know, and it's like, okay, what's the difference between me and Louis C.K.? I'll tell you the difference. One, they asked me there. So they should have known that this was coming. And two, I wasn't blocking. You want to leave? There's the door. I'm not blocking the entrance. You know? So then the woman figures out that it's a no-win situation. If I tell her to turn around to show me her ass, and she does, she's participating in something that she finds distasteful, but disturbing and distasteful. But if she continues looking at me, then I'm just like, look at that. And then she's like equally disturbed. The photographer chick is completely into it, so it's great. But she doesn't look as good as the art director. So I'm like, but I'm looking at them both. And then finally, I get an erection, and I go, quick, take the photo. So you have a photo of me standing by this red curtain, this radiator, this erection. It's like, ta-da! And And of course, they said, okay, well, we're done with the photos now. I go, what do you mean we're done? And of course, at that point, they use the door and escape. I just say this by way of saying that Ryan Bader, has to be looking at the top three with an erection. Can't be looking at the guys behind him. Yeah, you're right. There's no real connection. I lied. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, fans and friends. I don't know what came over me. So anyway, so Ryan Bader beat Latifi. Latifi is now the worst thing that's going to happen to him is gatekeeper. But Ryan Bader still needs to. You know what? It dawns on me that if he just hangs out a long enough time, trains, that he could actually find himself in not a bad position, which is kind of what Dan Hardy said. It's sort of like, well, he's mid-title contention. Let's not get crazy about title contention, but if you think that Johnny Bonigioni is a continued force, you're an optimist. Like I believe he's a continued force, but I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist. But 50-50 could be either way. It could be just as easily that he's just not the guy. He's just not the guy. It just doesn't happen for him. But in any case, Ryan Bader's, I'm here if you need me, and he's in a good place. Number 4 stays number 4. So then going down the list, okay, yeah, Nick Hein, Tom Hyun Bang. I didn't care about it. Was it an exciting fight? Did it move from a care or don't care? Pretty much. Let me tell you something. It's rare that you get a 3-round decision that was honestly, God, if you can think of an example, I'll be glad to hear it. It's rare that you get a 3-round decision that goes from don't care to care. I don't give a shit what they're doing, Now, of course, so that covers Nick Hein and Bang. It covers Jetson Ayara and Jim Wallhead. And it covers Sabata and Dalby, which I watched with half an eye. And then Ashley Evans Smith was one of my picks because she's a known associate. She used to be on Team Sorrel, and she moved to Los Angeles. She was supposed to actually fight Jermaine Rondami, Iron Lady, who hurt her leg and got injured. And Iron Lady is not long for the MMA world. She said eventually she's wants to become a cop. I don't know how you would want to go from fighting in stadiums to giving people parking tickets, but this is her dream. And so Ashley delivered. She didn't deliver until the 3rd round, but knocked out TKO, punches and elbows, got Veronica Macedo. So that was a good fight. It was nice to see somebody. So I picked Ashley Evans Smith. I picked Ryan Bader. I picked Gustafsson, and I picked Barnett. Not super challenging, not too hard to make these picks and feel good about it. But I'm an optimist, so I feel good about everything. So Ashley Evans Smith won. The guy that she used to date, I saw him there the other day at Sorrel's. He didn't get to go with him. He's a big old boy, young and big, and I'm just as good. He now, when he rolls me, has mercy. So to get him going, I got to be a dick, and then I got the best of him. So Christian Colombo and Dono, majority draw. That tells you all you need to know about whether it move from don't care to care. Jack Hermanson and Scott Askham, a unanimous decision. It's really hard. I don't know how these guys, Kabalov, I called. It was a unanimous decision, but I don't think I cared enough to make it. But I said if I did, I'll pick Kabalov. He beat Silva, but it was a unanimous decision, 3 rounds. I don't think that anything really would motivate me to care very much. And that was a fight. That was a fight night. So I didn't really talk about Nazis, their show. I showed you the cartoon, and that doesn't really count. I would suggest you read a friend of mine. He came to me, and I love this. He came to me and said, could you give me some book recommendations? And so I do that all the time. I ask her, like, Biba Kopf, if you know Biba Kopf, obviously a pen name, who used to be the editor-in-chief of Wire magazine. I think he still is. He used to give me reading lists. At first, I thought the reading lists were coming from Lydia Lunch, but then I asked him last time I met him, I go, who are you reading? And he told me. I go, those are the same people that Tadeusz Konvicki, did I mispronounce it? Konvicki, Tadeusz Konvicki. He wrote a great book called The Minor Apocalypse, and George Conrad. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that as well. And it was the same list I got from Lydia. I go, hey, I got that list from Lydia. He goes, yeah, I gave it to her. So I'm glad to. So I told him to read Time's Arrow, which you realize that the Nazi Germany killing machine, and most people don't notice or don't think about because they think Hitler has overshadowed it. But it began with the medicalized killing of the developmentally disabled. Right, the first line of the Hitler after the putsch and his imprisonment, realized that the law is your friend. So walking up and down to and fro, is it life not worth living? There you go. Are these people going to get better? No. Are they going to get worse? Very likely. Is there a benefit to keeping them alive? We're unsure. And they started the T4 program, the Tiergarten 4 program, and so the spear point with the whole killing. The killing apparatus began with fucking upper class intellectual professionals, the intelligentsia. It didn't start with the freedom of the streets. Those guys their usefulness was limited to the beer hall push, fist fight in the street. This was something else. By which I mean to say, when Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot came to power, they have monuments to killing fields in Cambodia now. A team member just got back from it. But they had these big meetings, and they would say, do we have any doctors? They raise their hands and go, come with us, please. We have any lawyers? Yeah, oh yeah, I'm a lawyer. Always cop to being a laborer, because everybody needs labor. And you see that I've segued perfectly into the holiday, Labor Day. Enjoy yourselves. Go get hammered. Well, I don't have to advise you to get hammered. That's kind of neat. Go see something. Go see something. Do something out of the ordinary. Enjoy yourself. You don't have to be at work. This is the end of the show. This is round number 299. I am your host, Eugene S. Robinson. You can hook up with me on Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson. I make you. It's locked. So you got to apply, and then I got to okay you because I want to know who's at the party. Sorry. If you want to just wander in, you could do through the Eugene S. Robinson author page on Facebook. My personal page on Facebook is all maxed out, but I'm super accessible. You got MMA gossip in your neck of the woods with very little due diligence. I'll blab, and like the blues song said, don't start me talking. I'll tell you everything I know. Anyway, that's the show. I'm going to go get cleaned up because I'm dirty. I'm trained. And then I'm going to continue examining the finer workings of Chambord and Champagne. We got it like that at Casa Robinson. That's the way it works. So we'll see you later on this week with, if I did it, I know Alexi's preparing for it. And then since there's a fight next week, there's a Care Don't Care preview. So we'll see you soon at Eugene S. Robinson. You can read me at Ozzy as well. And we'll see you soon. Look what you made me do!